Astika Parva, section 16 of the Astika Parva continues. Relate, Sauti, Sonaka said, O Sauti, relate once more in detail the history of learned virtuous Astika. Our curiosity for hearing it is great, O my amiable one. You speak sweetly with proper accent and emphasis, and we are well pleased with your speech. You speak even like your father. The sire was ever ready to please us. Tell us now the story of as your father had related it. Sauti said, O you are best blessed with longevity. I shall narrate the story of Astika as I heard from my father. O Brahmana, in the golden age, Prajapati had two daughters. O sinless one, the sisters were endowed with beauty, named Kadru and Vinita. They became wives of Kashyapa. Kashyapa derived great pleasure from his two wedded wives, and being gratified, he resembled Prajapati himself. He offered to give each of them a boon. Hearing that the Lord was willing to confer upon them choice of blessings, those excellent ladies felt transports of joy. Kadru wished to have for sons 1,000 snakes of all equal splendor, and Vinita wishing to bring forth two sons surpassing the 1,000 offsprings. Kadru in strength, energy of size of body and prowess. Unto Kadru her lord gave the boon about multitude of offspring, and unto Vinita also Kashyapa said, Be it so. Then Vinita, having obtained her prayer, rejoiced greatly. Obtaining two sons of superior prowess, she regarded her boon fulfilled. Kadru also obtained of her 1,000 sons equal splendor. Bear the embryos carefully, said Kashyapa, and then he went to forest, leaving his two wives, pleased with his blessings. So they continued, O best of regenerate ones. After a long time, Kadru brought forth 1,000 eggs, and Vinita too. Their maidservants deposited the eggs separately in warm vessels. 500 years passed away, and 1,000 eggs produced. Kadru burst out, came out progeny. But the twins of Vinita did not appear. Vinita was jealous, and therefore she broke one of the eggs and found it in an embryo. The upper part developed, but the lower part one undeveloped. And this the child in the egg became angry and cursed his mother. Since you have prematurely broken his egg, you shall serve as a slave. Should you wait 500 years and not destroy or render other egg half developed by breaking it through impatience, the illustrious child within it will deliver you from slavery. And if you would have the child strong, you must take tender care of egg for all this time. Thus cursing his mother, the child rose to sky. O Brahmana, even this charioteer of Surya, always seen in hour of morning. Then at the expiration of the 500 years, busting open the other egg, came out Garuda, the serpent eater or tiger of Bhrigu race. Immediately on seeing that light, that Vinita son left his mother, and the lord of birds, feeling hungry, took wing in quest of food assigned to him by the great ordiner of all. This is 16th section of Astika Parva, Adi Parva. Sauti said, in the 17th section, Sauti said, O ascetic, about this time, two sisters saw approaching near the steed complacent named Uchchaisravas, who was worshipped by the gods, the gem of steeds, who arose at the churning of the ocean of nectar, divine, peaceful, divine, graceful, perpetually young creation, masterpiece of the irresistible vigor. It was blessed with every auspicious mark. Sonaka said, Why did the gods churn ocean of nectar, and under what circumstances, when, as you say, did the best of steeds, so powerful and resplendent, spring? So he said, There is a mountain named Meru of blazing appearance. It looks like heap of effluence. The rays of sun falling on its peaks, golden luster, and dispersed by them, decked with gold and exceedingly beautiful. The mountain is the haunt of gods and Gandharvas. It is immeasurable and unapproachable by men of manifold sins. Dreadful beast of prey wander over its breast, and it is illuminated by many divine life-saving herbs. It stands kissing the heaven by its height and first of the mountains. Ordinary people cannot even think of ascending it. It's graced with trees of streams and resounds with charming melody of winged choirs. Once the celestial sat on its begemed peak in conclave, They who had practiced penances and observed excellent vows for Amrita now seemed to be eager seekers of Amrita, celestial ambrosia, or that is the English version of Amrita. Seeing the celestial assembly in anxious mood, Narayana said to Brahman, do you churn the ocean with the gods and the asuras? By doing so, Amrita will be obtained. As also, all the drugs and gems, O ye gods, churn the ocean, you will discover Amrita. This ends the 17th section of Astika Parva of Adi Parva. Meru Parvata is something which is in the center of Jambudvipa, that is Asia. And now, see, we are not able to ascend uh, Mount Kailash. When you can't ascend Mount Kailash, because it appears that which is the abode of Lord Shiva, it appears that it is moving away from you when you try to ascend the Mount Kailash. So it's place of Lord Shiva. So even China tried to find the secret, but they couldn't do it. Many people went there, people who tried to really climb, and then they who succeeded to some extent became very old in a very short time. And their nails started to grow faster, they aged very faster, and they died within 1 year. So it is the place where it's a beautiful. It has no. There is no scientific explanation for why it happens like this. Even Meru, nobody can see it. It's not visible to human eye. Naked eye, people like us, we have done a lot of sins. So naturally, it is only for the divine people. Divine people, they can only ascend this Meru. Anyway, coming to the story, Sauti said there is a mountain called Mandara adorned with cloud like peaks. It's the best of mountains. It's covered all over with intertwining herbs. There are countless birds poured forth their melodies. The beasts of the prey roam about. The gods and Apsarasas. Kinnara. Apsara means the one who is born in water. Kinnaras are uh, half human and half hearts. That is face will be human and that the rest is hearts. First, visit the place. Upwards, it rises 11,000 yojanas. Yojana is 8 miles is 1 yojana and descends downward as much. The gods wanted to tear it up and use it as a churning rod, but failing to do the same, Vishnu and Brahma, who were sitting together, said unto them, devise some efficient scheme. Consider how Mandara may be dislodged for our good. So they continued, O son of Bhrigu, Vishnu and Brahma assented to it. And then lot aside one, Vishnu had laid hard task on them. Mighty Ananta, the prince of snakes, the powerful Ananta directed thereon to both Brahma and Narayana. O Brahmana tore up the mountain with woods. Thereupon, with the denizens of woods and gods came there to the shore of ocean with Ananta and addressed the ocean, saying, O ocean, we have come to churn your waters for obtaining nectar. And the ocean replied, so be it, I shall not go without a share of it. I am able to bear the prodigious agitation of my waters set up by mountain. The gods then went to king of tortoises, that is Lord Vishnu himself, said unto him in the form of Lord Vishnu in the form of tortoise, Kurma Avatara, that is Kurma incarnation. Tortoise is called Kurma in Sanskrit. Will you hold the mountain on your back? The tortoise agreed, and Indra contrived a place the mountain on the former's back. The gods and the asuras made Mandara churning staff, and Vasuki the god set about churning for Amrita. The asuras held Vasuki by the hood, the gods held them by tail. And Ananta, who was on the side of gods, at intervals raised the snake's hood, suddenly lowered it, and the consequence of which stretch Vasuki received at the hands of gods and the asuras black vapors with flames issued from its mouth. These turned into clouds charged with lightning, poured showers that refreshed the tired gods, and flowers that fell on the sides of the celestials from the trees on the whirling Mandara refreshed them. Then, O Brahmana, out of the deep came tremendous roar, like unto roar of the clouds at the universal dissolution. Diverse aquatic animals being crushed by the great mountain gave up ghost in salt waters. Many denizens of lower regions of the world of Varuna were killed. Varuna is waters, a lot of water. Large trees with birds of whirling mandara torn up by the roots and fell into the water. The mutual friction of those trees produced by fires blazed up frequently. The mountain thus looked like a mass of dark clouds charged with lightning. O Brahmana, the fire spread and consumed the lions, elephants, and other creatures that were on the mountain. Indra extinguished the fire by pouring down heavy showers. After the churning, O Brahmana, had gone on this some point, gummy exudations of various trees and herbs vested with properties of Amrita mingled with waters of the ocean. Thus the celestials had attained immortality by drinking the water mixed with those gums, the liquid extract of the gold. By degrees, the milky water of the agitated deep turned into clarified butter by virtue of those gums and juices. But nectar did not appear even then. The gods came before boon granting Brahma, seated on his seat, and said, Sir, we are spent up. We have no strength left to churn further. Nectar has not arisen, so that now we have no resource to save Narayana. On hearing this, Brahma said to Narayana, O Lord, condescend to grant the god's strength to churn the deep afresh. Then Narayana, agreeing to grant their prayers, said, "Ye wise ones, I grant you sufficient strength. Go put the mountain in the position again and churn the water. Re-establish thus in strength." The gods commenced churning. After a while, the mild moon of thousand rays emerged from ocean. Thereafter sprung forth Lakshmi, dressed in white, and Soma, then the white steed Ucheshravas, then the celestial gem Kaustuba, which graces the breast of Narayana. Then Lakshmi, Soma, and the steed, fleet as the mind, all came before the gods on high. Then arose the divine Dhanvantri himself with the white vessel nectar in his hand, and seeing the Asuras, set up loud cry, it is ours, it be ours. And at length rose the great elephant Airavata of huge body with two pairs of white tusks, and him Indra took the welder of the thunderbolt. But with the churning still going on, the poison Kalakuta appeared at last, engulfing the earth. It suddenly blazed up like fire attended with fumes. And by the scent of the fearful Kalakuta, three worlds were stupefied, and then Shiva, being solicited by Brahma, swallowed the poison for the safety of creation. The divine Maheshwara held it in his throat, and it is said that form at that time he is called Nilakantha or blue throated. Seeing all these wondrous things, the Asuras were filled with despair, and God himself prepared for entering into hostilities with gods for the possession of Lakshmi and Amrita. Thereupon Narayana called the bewitching Maya or elusive power to his aid, and assuming the form of enticing female, coquetted with Danavas and the Daityas, charmed with her exquisite beauty and grace, lost reason, unanimously placed Amrita in the hands of damsel. This ends the 18th section of Adi Parva. The 19th section. When the Daityas Danavas, equipped with first class armors, various weapons, attacked the gods. In the meantime, the valiant Vishnu, in the form of enchantress, accompanied by Nara, deceived by deceived the mighty Danavas and took away the Amrita from their hands. And all the gods at the time, great fright, drank the Amrita with delight, receiving it from Vishnu, while the other gods were partaking it, after which they have so much hankered. A Danava named Rahu was also drinking it among them in the guise of God. And when the Amrita had reached Rahu's throat, only Surya and Soma recognized him and intimated the fact to gods. And Narayana instantly cut off with his discus the well adorned head of Danava, who was drinking Amrita without permission. And the huge head of Danava was cut off by discus resembling the mountain peak. Then rose up the sky, began to utter dreadful cries. Danava, headless trunk, falling upon the ground, rolling thereupon, made the earth tremble with mountains, forests, and islands. And from there, the time long standing quarrel between Rahu's head and Surya and Soma. And to this day, it swallows Surya and Soma. Rahu is nothing but shadow. It's called shadow planet. And during eclipse, we do see shadows. This is about the creation of Rahu. Rahu in astrology is behaves like Mars, and Ketu is like Saturn. Very, he's not slow, but he doesn't uh, give any good results. He obstructs, while Rahu is unethical but gives good results. This is about Rahu and Ketu. Ketu is the body. Rahu doesn't have the body. He has only head. That is the reason why he uses our body to fulfill his desires. Then Narayana, quitting this enchanting female form, hurling many terrible weapons at the Danavas, then made them tremble. And on the shores of the saltwater sea commenced a dreadful battle for the gods and asuras. Sharp pointed javelins and lances, various weapons by thousands began to be discharged on all sides, and mangled with those discuss and wounds, wounded with swords, darts, the maces, asuras in large numbers vomited blood and lay prostrate on earth, cut off from the trunks with sharp-edged double-edged swords, heads adorned with bright gold, fell continuously from the in the field of battle. Their bodies drenched in gore, the great asuras lay dead everywhere. It seems as if red-dyed mountain peaks lay shattered all around. And then the sun rose in his splendor. Thousands of warriors struck one another with weapons, and cries of distress were heard everywhere. Warriors fighting at a distance from one another, brought down with sharp weapons, iron missiles, thus fighting at a close quarters, slew each other with blows of their fists, and the air was filled with strikes of distress. Everywhere was heard alarming sounds. Cut, pierce at them, hurl down, advance. And the battle was raging fiercely. Nara and Narayana entered the field, and Narayana, seeing the celestial bow in the hands of Nara, called in his mind his own weapon, the Danava destroying discus, Sudarshana, the destroyer of enemies, like Agni to effluence, and the dreadful battle came from the sky as soon as he thought of it. When it came, Narayana, fierce energy, possessing arms like a trunk of an elephant, hurled with great force that weapon of extraordinary luster, effluent as blazing fire, dreadful and capable of destroying hostile towns, that discus blazing like fire that consumeth all the things of end of Yuga, hurled with forces from the hands of Narayana, falling constantly everywhere, destroyed Daityas and Danavas by thousands. Sometimes it blazed like fire and consumed them all. Sometimes it struck them down as it coursed through sky, and sometimes falling on earth, it drank the lifeblood of like a goblin. On the other hand, Danavas, white as clouds from which the rain has dropped, possessed a great strength and bold hearts, ascended the sky, and hurling down thousands of mountains continuously harassed gods, and those dreadful mountains, like masses of clouds, with their trees and flat tops falling from sky, collided with one another, produced tremendous roar, and thousands of warriors shouted without intermission in the field of battle. Mountains with woods thereupon began to fall around. The earth with forest trembled. The divine Nara appeared at the sense of dreadful conflict between at the scene of the dreadful conflict between Asuras and the Ganas. Ganas are the followers of Rudra, and reducing to dust those rocks by means of gold headed arrows. He covered the heavens with dust, thus discomforted by the gods, and seeing the furious discus scoring the fields of heaven like blazing flame, the mighty Danavas entered bowls of earth, while others plunged into sea of salt waters. Having gained victory, the gods offered due respect to Mandara and placed him again in his own base. And nectar-bearing gods of heavens resounded with their shouts, went on to their abodes. Gods returning to their heavens rejoiced greatly, and Indra and other deities made over Narayana, the vessel of Amrita, for careful keeping. And this ends 19th section of Astika Parva of Adi Parva. Next will be 20th section, which will be which we continue in another video.